here, BDS is going to remove Finka. Finka has not been allowed to be played on any of our maps between these two so far. That just shows you how prominent she currently is in the meta.
So Finka, once again, aligning pretty well, so falling in line with what we see in there. No surprise on the Thatcher also. This is an incredibly utility-heavy map, so once again, do not want to give the attackers the capability to easily disable huge swaths of it, because you're oftentimes going to have those kind of nests of utility between shields, ADSs, and everything else. One well-placed EMP followed up by a frag grenade could mean the end of your entire defensive utility, so do not want to try and trifle with that. An interesting one, as the Wamaya ban will actually come in. We had been seeing that as of a few months ago, either Wamaya or Rooney getting themselves knocked out there, either one or the other, just to kind of limit the amount of utility mitigation that was coming into play. It's fallen by the wayside a bit, but is going to make a reappearance here in this series, as they'll also ban out Mira falling in line with something we more traditionally see.
Yes, indeed, and exactly what we would expect out of some bans coming in on Café. Well, Maya especially going to be quite interesting here, as that means that Capitao is going to be very prominent for the offensive side. We'll see if DarkZero want to work that into their setup, but it really doesn't matter at the end of the day when Flores is open as well, and they'd rather play with that instead. This is something that we've been seeing Canadian use across the board, and yeah, as you were saying, it just makes it easier to get rid of playable shields and all that kind of stuff. Why burn somebody out of that place when you can just blow up the entire area and make it unplayable anyways?
Pretty much. So, heading into our first round, it's looking like we are going to start on either the third or first floor, where teams have typically been favoring. It's looking like actually Reading Room is starting to become the favorite for quite a few here, specifically for BDS, as they'll hop directly on top of that one and look to try and leverage this as their first successful defense. Operator lineup is going to give quite a bit of freedom to this team, as once again, they do want to play it close to the site, looking to bring a similar tone to what we were seeing back on Coastline here. The Thunderbird coming in as well, that is going to bolster more than likely some of this extended setup onto the third floor, as well as the fallback onto the site later on into the round here, giving BDS that extra longevity to be able to continue to hold these positions and waste the time bank of DarkZero.
Yes, indeed. DZ's entire lineup looking to take out a lot of these setups around the site here for BDS. Obviously going to be on the mid floor, but this top floor going to be extremely important to Reading and Fireplace Hall. They've also brought Oryx along for the ride here, at least for Renshiro's case, so he'll be able to hop up some patches and possibly go for a flank later on if it seems feasible. DZ now out and about on the map here. NJR will start his rappel up towards the top end of the building, the traditional way of playing Café.
Panda still going to be taking up positions here, chucking out one air jab just to make sure we don't see any mid-round white stairs jump outs, which has become a bit of a common thing here on this map, and certainly one to expect from BDS given previous play throughout the course of this series. You can see as well Lem, since the Valkyrie's been left in, he's got those outside cameras still being chucked out into the open. There's going to keep good tabs on any vertical repels coming in, specifically over on the Cigar side of things here. Hyper's also just going to get dropped the case real quickly, as other members of DarkZero are going to get a bit more aggressive up on top, and they don't want to take a risk on dropping that one up on the roof this early on in the rounds. Additional pressure boiling in now on that white stairs window. Cypher wants to try and take control here and flush out any immediate pressure, but at the same time, it might be him that gets flushed out here. Never mind, Renshiro can't find the winning angle, but he does as well have the Kona station down below to get himself boosted up to a much more respectable HP that much quickly.
Yeah, one more shot from that, and he'll more than likely be right around max HP again, so not too big of a deal here for him, but that definitely will be. A Limbs will fall now, and that's going to be a Nitro Cell off the board. Nitro Cell out, but it won't find him.
Oh, no!
Oh, man, not like that. A double kill for Shaiko here, so hop outside, and guess what? No air jab inside of that space. He's going to be able to get rid of the other one and get back in pillars before Eclipse can do anything at all. Canadian trying to challenge up Brown as they try and pinch Shaiko around the pillar's space. Some hot pings coming back and forth, but do they know Eclipse is up top? They do not. He'll finally be able to take him down and get things to at least an equal point here. Do not be trusting that thing at the top of the scoreboard right now for man advantage. It is indeed a 3 versus 3.
At minimum, Shaiko doing a great job to even out the scoreline, and then even out the time a little bit more here too. DarkZero had been making great work of this overall push with the time that they had only used up there, but wasting about 30 seconds or so off of that clock is certainly going to slow them down. And Canadian just absolutely slamming Bride through the wall right there to take him out of play, and it's just Renshiro in the fight here with 40 seconds still to play out. That is a huge amount of time in siege terms here. He's going to try to go for a reinforcement there, it looked like, but quickly cancels that one when he realizes the threat sitting on the other side of the wall. He'll back up, get one more juice up quickly from the Kona station before getting prepared for what very well could be the final battle. Might even not get a chance inside of it here. Yep, shredded by his feet as NGR finds the angle on top of him. It's a clean opening round, except for that jump out for DZ here on the opening round.
Yeah, I don't think that they really expected that one to happen, so very well done there from Shaiko, but I mean, it's just even better from Eclipse as he's able to find the triple inside of that. Canadian with a beautiful spray as well. Here's that clip again for you folks. Beautiful headshot on Pimzu as well as Hyper. And Eclipse also with that triple. Canadian with the beautiful wall bang, but it really didn't matter. I still really want to know what Renshiro was thinking with the whole reinforcement fake. Don't really know what was going to go down with that, but hey, I mean, I guess you can try it if you want to.
So into our second round here where things are going to actually repeat for the BDS roster here, feeling that they might be able to correct from their mistakes quite quickly and jump back into that, actually a pretty much identical sites or operator setup, I should say, as well here as far as I can tell. Maybe the addition of the mute, if I'm recalling correctly from the previous round, but aside from that, things are going to look and feel pretty much the same.
Yes, indeed. Still going to be going for this top hold here with BDS still stuck to the Thunderbird. Renshiro still on the Oryx as well, so really no changes across the board here for BDS. We'll see if they want to try and hold this in similar fashion. They got the huge play out the cocktail windows the last time. That's more than likely not going to happen this time around, as DarkZero will be very aware of what could possibly happen to them on the rappel over here towards the east side.
Yeah, that's a kind of one-time trick right there. You're very rarely going to have success to that degree as well, where you get two players lined up next to each other on rappel.
For a double headshot of all things.
Yeah. Very rarely are you going to find that working out for you multiple times over the course of a series. Okay, this is a little different though. Shaiko really wanting to lean into these aggressive tendencies here. He's going to get some fights. They do realize that it's a possibility, so they slow it down. Not really a whole lot of damage connecting from it. He chooses to continuously challenge it against three very available players to re-challenge it as well. So Panba gets the first kill this time, getting the better of Shaiko out of that duel.
And practically zero damage dealt to DarkZero. For NJR, that's really only a bullet, but not even that, really. I mean, it's an SMG at range, so the drop-off in damage is going to be pretty crazy. Either way, though, for DZ, this is going to be a pretty straightforward round for them as they start to work their way towards the Christmas space. BDS have to try to fight back from awkward footing now that they've lost Shaiko inside of the dining area down low.
Once again, it's still a plentiful amount of time for DarkZero to utilize as well here, so expect things to slow down a little bit as they still have nearly the entire load of their Terror drones to be able to be used on this site, as well as the extension upstairs, in addition to plenty of other things also here which can be deployed, such as the hard breach utility, the air jabs. You can use the Gemini clone to scout things out on the third floor. Lots to be done for DarkZero and plenty of excess time to do it, so things will get a little bit quiet here for the next minute or so while they build up the confidence and the necessary openings to traverse back down to the second floor. And Rotero is actually going to force the Thunderbird out of position. Won't force the full transition downstairs just yet, but never mind. Actually is going to go for it after some consideration there. Bride does not want to stick around, and Freezer, it's another quick clear coming in from DZ.
Much stronger offense here from DarkZero as they've been able to clear out this entire top floor. But oh wait, they didn't check Hut. Olims gets away with one. He'll get two, and he's still inside of Christmas. Hyper's got to do something about this. Trying to work his way in cocktail. He's watching the hatch right now, but this has been mismanaged. What is happening to the DZ squad?
Clem's going to now try to rotate in and add some additional pressure over towards the White Stairs area. Hyper trying to be oh so cautious. Bride with a very well-placed Nitro now catches Hyper. No longer able to easily deal with that presence, and in all honesty, not even really needing to deploy it over towards top red anymore. The players backed away entirely as Eclipse and Panba are left with a shell of their former assaulting force here, having to use a breaching charge to try and open up top-down angles here and try to get something going. If they can bring this down to a 2v3, it's certainly winnable, but at 2v4, with minimal time left to still move back down from the third to the second floor as well, this is going to be rough for DarkZero to win this, which is so unfortunate with how promising it was looking up until this point. Good intel, though, played out by Panba, but he's got to be swift here on the follow-up as he's immediately getting hunted down by players over by the White Stairs on the chassis. It's a Lems to get his third kill on the round. Oh, and a fourth as well. So quick to follow it up onto Eclipse, the last player alive on DZ, and just shut down the assault nearly single-handedly.
Very well done from BDS. And DarkZero, they have an aggressive front upstairs, but Apparently that aggressive front came with some mismanagement in the information game. No one really worried about a Lems inside of quad. He gets a double up top and then a double later on after BDS is able to clean things up with that nitro cell for the last remaining body of DarkZero. Beautiful round there from BDS as they'll head back upstairs to Bar Cocktail.
Finally going to be testing themselves on the upstairs hole. Now they have a good feeling as to how DarkZero plays the clear on that. Some parts of the setup are going to be very, very similar now that we play directly into that site. So they should have a bit of a semblance as to how DarkZero is going to try and proceed for the first minute or two of play before they move in for the execute. Like we talked about when we had this map played in our other series earlier today too, this site is kind of played out in terms of the options for the defense. That kind of transitions over towards the attackers too. So for the most part, BDS will know what to expect in terms of what DarkZero's overall strategy will be to assault this site. At the same time, though, it makes it a very simplistic process, as DarkZero very much will know the same thing about BDS's defensive setup.
Yes, indeed, my friend. And obviously, since this is going to be the first time that BDS plays this, it should be a little bit of a different take here from DZ, but honestly, more than likely, a little bit of the same, as it's going to be around the red staircase area that we'll see a lot of the initial forces from DZ start to build up as they look to clear Christmas and in towards places like Freezer and try and push BDS back towards the cocktail side where they can possibly find a plant and really a bunch of different spots, whether it be trash wall or the default area over towards the actual bomb chassis. But now DZ out and about, they are ready to take on BDS and already looking for these possible spawn kills from Shaiko yet again.
Yeah, Shaiko cooling that off, I do believe. This will play a little bit closer to the chest this time, not wanting to risk his own life for virtually no return. We saw how quickly it led into things getting out of hand there, but even though BDS was able to recover it, ultimately at the end of the round, they're having to fight for the back foot. Certainly did not help the equation. Thankfully, again, had the great clutch to come out from mainly a Lems there to pick up 4 kills and bring the team back into the fold. And Shiro just going to hop this yokai drone up and down to go for some quick checks, make sure there isn't any additional pressure to worry about. Certainly in early days for that to be seen here, as we're only just now starting to see DarkZero build up their own pressure to contest the pixel hold from a Lems, which is also extended, of course, over here into the bathroom, too.
Plenty of ADSs inside of this space, and obviously there'll be times they really need a proper nade here to clear out all of this, and that's exactly what we will receive as we do ask for it. Beautiful nade there from DZ to clear out Pixel, but Alem still has some room to breathe here inside a bathroom. Has a laser gate to prevent even more utility if that's what they want to go for. Sending the Rotero drones down the skylight hatch now, but one of them ends up getting, I believe, mute jammed or something of the sort. Don't necessarily know what ended up going on there. It was actually the bulletproof cam instead. Forgot those things can shoot lasers nowadays. We don't get to see that happen too often, so that's actually very well done from BDS, as we'll be able to disable that and stop that from removing some utility.
So things continue to boil down here. Once more DarkZero play this very slow and methodical build-up. They want to knock out as much as humanly possible before they even think about stepping close to the site. They'd have one player on the inside that you probably caught over there towards the top. It was Hyper sitting at the bottom of the red drop, but all by himself. You are going to see BDS end up picking up the opening kill instead. Shaiko just barely surviving the engagement, though, as you can see. He's got 1 or 2 HP max here after that one, and we'll have to back away and play it very, very cautiously as a result of that.
Yes, indeed. Down to the last minute here as DarkZero really haven't made any movements. Hyper 0-3 after that initial pick onto him. The Rotero drone possibly doing some damage to Pambazoo, but he finds a position to stay safe here as Eclipse is getting tagged up inside of Cigar at the current moment. Waiting for this gate to reset right now is BDS here for Cigar that could prevent even more from going on here. Alem's going to be playing spoils for NJR's positioning here on the skylight window. And Eclipse does indeed have one DarkZero member in tow with him. NJR not able to find the proper angle to deal with the Jaeger down low of Alems, and oh, what a shot from him. The first bullet made contact with NJR's head, but finally DZ bounced back. Pambazoo with 2 big kills as he'll take out Bios rotating up white.
The yokai drone, though, gonna get the interruption off. They don't know where it is. The second one comes out as well. That gets the interruption going as well. They have to drop it down. They are gonna need a minute to be able to get it back up again, but here comes the retake now as they interrupt the plant and come back in the dying moments of the round. BDS, beautifully done, and great utility usage coming out from the Echo as well to delay it even further.
A great answer there as all of DarkZero scattered to try and deal with this answer that we see from BDS on this drone. For a lot of you at home, you more than likely thought that that Echo yokai was a little early there on its delivery, but instead it's actually Renshiro to step up with BDS to deal the killing blow to DarkZero. These defenses starting to come through in a bountiful manner.
A different philosophy going to come into the fold here for BDS in terms of how they will try to delay out the large majority of time here. As yep, you have already noticed it. We got the Tachanka pick at least coming in for Renshiro, and it's looking like, yeah, it is going to get confirmed. So we are going to be using that and just outright replacing the smoke with it instead of doing what we normally see teams do and combine it with him.
I mean, who needs the most played operator on defense anyways, you know? I mean, Thatcher's just Thatcher. Tachanka's just better in a lot of different ways. I'm obviously completely kidding. The biggest thing here is that he's not only going to have the fire grenades to play for prevention, but he's also going to have a lot of soft destruction. Look at what Renshiro can do to these walls with this LMG.
He's going to open up all the rotates possible, and he's got plenty of ammo to accomplish that as well. So no problem whatsoever. Man, he's doing that thing like a lawnmower. It's crazy. He's gotten good at it.
A little emoji in the wall there. Just make a face.
He's got like a template ready to go there with how quickly he was able to make those holes.
I'm assuming they've done this once or twice.
Yeah, still.
Possibly.
That's the most efficient setup I've seen on a setup there for, once again, the Tachanka play.
Yeah, I think the only other one that I ever call back to whenever we see Tachanka is a TSM setup for Oregon Basement, where they play smoke for bottom laundry and Tachanka for a barbed wire setup that they put inside a freezer. Whenever they hear the barbed wire, just launch those fire grenades in there and make it real difficult for anyone to try and progress, but we really don't see anybody do it that often anymore. Tachanka, although, folks, from his initial rework has gotten a buff. It was a little while ago, so you might have seen it, but for others, it makes it to where the fire grenades spread a little bit wider and deal a little bit more damage, because they were a little lackluster initially, and speaking of lackluster, Alem's the exact opposite. Another beautiful kill from him onto Pambazu.
The entry battle of the century continues on here with this time Alems beating out Pan, but not giving him the opportunity to pick up his own first kill for this round here, and putting once again BDS in a good opening opportunity. I actually do once again want to go back to the Tachanka pick for a second while we've got a bit of a lull in the round. I think it's actually a really good choice to go with him over Smoke here to some extent, just when you consider the raw number of access points into the site that exist on this specific play here. You've got like 4 or 5 different ways to work your way into a site that the attackers could potentially have access to if your extended play goes awry and you end up in a bit of a difficult situation. Normally with Smoke, you're going to be blocking off 1, maybe 2 of those at most, but the Tachanka, you have 14 of those incendiary grenades. So as long as you have the capability and the angle to throw it down on those access points, you can block them all off at once, obviously for less time, but still, the capability to delay them all is certainly a trait worth considering.
Yeah, this could be a fantastic call here as wow, what a shot from Shaiko. He'll take down NJR inside of lobby. Hyper follows through with a nade, though, into Kochek to take him out. That's going to be his first kill of the game as he gets off of that good old goose egg. BDS now only down Shaiko, though, going into the last minute as Hyper will clamber up brown stairs while Bios heads down red. Currently has the cross here as well, and as you were talking about with all these angles established, it's going to make it very difficult for DZ to find an opening here that can possibly get them the frag that they're looking for. They have so much to worry about in the current moment, and a lot of answers still on the board for BDS.
Less than a minute as well for DarkZero to come to a solution here, and an awkward engagement is found over by the mining room as we see Hyper end up besting on the reaction time of Lems in that situation there, evening out the player count once again down to a 3v3. There's an undealt with player though sitting on the inside of Kochek. Hyper is gonna have to realize it here. He's not the only one either. We have more extensions over by the main doors leading into kitchen here. Hyper is, well, hyper focalizing. Okay, he's aware of the Kochek player, but still doesn't mean he's gonna get the kill. Bios will be able to maintain that crossfire there, but not for too long as Canadian bests him in his immediate next duel here. Plant going down onto the ground for Eclipse. We don't have the Echo in play anymore, so no, the Okais are actually going to come into play. Here, as I'll correct myself, he is in play. I was looking at the wrong side. Either way, BDS picks up the kill after the first interruption goes through, and the Yokai saves the day on top of some quick follow-ups once again. Excellent play from BDS as they shut down a second plant attempt in a row in a very close endgame situation.
Just keep the chunk in bundle or in bunker and just start launching those fire grenades over the path. Fantastic stuff from him there as we're able to secure the round here for BDS. This is going to be the third one on the defensive side, and also the first Tachanka that you and I have seen this entire land.
Absolutely the case, yeah. Haven't seen him picked in too much yet. He's become pretty popular, I would say, in NA for like certain niche sites for you. Again, like I was saying before, mainly when you need both a Smoke and a Tachanka for like an insurance policy more than anything. Sets like AVG and whatnot we're starting to find to be pretty useful because, again, you've got access to the angles where you can bank those nades off the walls and whatnot because it's a bit of a claustrophobic room and be able to block all the access points and just waste a massive amount of time away from the round there. So good to see it being finally brought in here and by a European team as well, in an interesting site setup there, as we saw it used quite nicely alongside the Yokai drone. DarkZero will call for their pause now, as this is a 3-round consecutive streak from BDS. They've run reading, 3rd floor hold and 1st floor hold without dropping a single one of them, and now they are more than likely about to go back up to reading.
Well, we'll have to see what they can possibly get done here. Attack pause, and also that was very strange. I know you didn't catch that, but Hyper and BC did the exact same thing at the exact same time, and it really threw me off right there for a split second.
It's sync.
Yeah, the team synergy between Hyper and BC is just, it's next level apparently, I guess. But 10 seconds away from here from round 5, guys. Hopefully DarkZero had something to do with this that is hopefully going to find them a couple extra rounds here on this offensive side. BDS is currently running it up with their defensive half.
All right, so let's take a look and see if BDS can run the gauntlet for at least 2 out of 3 of the sites they've won before. Obviously, keeping in mind that DarkZero did steal away the first attempt on reading, so only a 50% win rating at the moment here for BDS on this site, but the most recent one did play into their favor, so looking to improve that up to about a 66% for the half overall here if they can control it on the 3rd play. They have chosen to go for Oryx, actually interesting them coming back into play. We had talked about how we see him quite a bit on some of our other maps, most notably Coastline, but this is actually where personally I don't see him deployed too much, but that certainly has the formula to work out well for this map. Considering, again, especially the hatch play, too, and specifically for the site, even, he can kind of traverse back down in a janitor, which is usually going to be a pretty safe drop up until the very end of the round, so if they need someone to quickly move back upstairs, if he's going to be playing on the 2nd floor, they can do that, no problem whatsoever.
Yeah, it's definitely something that DarkZero are more than likely not going to look into. You usually establish control around the stairwells and make sure that nobody can transition that way, but since Oryx is the only operator that can, in fact, get away with getting up hatches, he can obviously do what you were talking about, hacking up the, obviously, he is. He can, by hopping up those hatches over there inside of Janitor. Either way now, DarkZero already transitioning their way to the roof here. And these drones spun up and trying to find some of these BDS members over towards the Christmas space, which shouldn't be too hard since they've already found a Lems near stage.
Well, Lems is going to be put into a very awkward scenario now, too, because of that drone spotting him out, trying to dodge around the drone and looking for someone on rappel. And oh man, that hop over might have just saved his life, if only for a second, though, as he ends up walking right into a crossfire between NJR and another player that was out on the 2nd window rappel.
Super unfortunate for him, but really just not respecting what DarkZero could have done with that situation, trying to hold on to that space for a little bit too long there, and DarkZero punish him for it. Either way, though, transitioning further into this round, DarkZero once again mostly on the roof, all except for Hyper, as he is working his way into Cigar. Has to possibly deal with some bodies over on the other end of the long bar, has players around Cocktail at the current moment, but this is slow rolling for the time being.
Gemini's going to work its way out as they try to build in for some more intel. Bride's got an arc here that he could potentially throw out against Panba. Flash is going to confirm his position is still there, but Bride's still not feeling the confidence to actually go for the chuck out, and no, it'll now lead to a teammate's death as Shaiko is able to establish himself in an angle against Panba, but is absolutely not ready for that potential fight. So another kill picked up by DZ here. Everything being found outside or above the hatches right now. They've only just barely entered the building, and they've already killed 2 members of the BDS lineup.
Very well done thus far, but they still have to be able to get this plant down, or at least frag out the remaining members of BDS. Canadian will start up a Rotero drone yet again over towards the door, but I believe that one ended up getting caught off from the mute jammer, so it won't end up getting rid of the door. They'll have to do that through the traditional means instead. Still have the verticality to be able to abuse, but once again, this timer's starting to get very low. Something to consider when it comes down to it, especially when Renshiro's able to hit the flank now, take out Pambazoo. Doesn't actually end up passing through the wall, but he's got to be happy about that one, actually, because he would have been dead, but doesn't really seem like it mattered all that much. Canadian makes the adjustment over towards Cigar. He'll take down Renshiro. It's a 2 versus 3 with 15 seconds remaining.
Yeah, not a big change up at the end of the day. They're just momentary mistakes of convenience, you could say, for BDS to add an additional like 5 seconds on 2 of their players' lives. Okay, hold on a second. That's a big kill from Bride as it stopped the plant. They didn't expect that to happen. Canadian trades it. There's no one near the case, though, so time's going to run out, and they can't find the last player on BDS. What? BDS somehow win that. Look at this. There's no one here. The case just sat on the ground. DarkZero thought they had it for free, so they had no one supporting their plan, and it got interrupted by Bride, and no one was close enough to pick it up for a second time.
I have no words. I don't know what to say.
Fair enough.
Can we just move on? Can we do that?
6th round,
hey,
coming in quick.
There we go. Yay. I don't even know what to say about that. That is just such a blunder. It's not even funny. BDS, though, they're playing really, really well. Shout out to BIOS once again for staying alive, being able to get his singular frag thus far, but really just holding that space and making it where DZ have to contest other spaces across the board anyways. So bar cocktail now for BDS as they're looking to run things up to a 5-1 half here against DarkZero. And just to remind you, DZ did indeed already take their timeout, so no longer have the ability to consult BC for this one.
Not even a chance to reset after, like you said, a big blunder there at the end of round number 5, thinking they had the full control over the entire map, and more importantly, the entire access point they would have used to fend off the plant attempt, but absolutely not the case. Nowhere near enough access time for DarkZero to go for that liberal of a plant, and as a result of that, they hand the round over to BDS, and BDS had absolutely no chance. I don't even think they thought they had any hope of winning that round at that point, but it is basically gifted to them as they now lead 4-1 heading into the final round of the half.
I'm glad that you could tell from BIOS' face that they weren't supposed to win that one either. He was like, what the hell just happened?
I didn't even see it, but I just assumed, right? Like, look at this. It was like a 2v3 situation. They had no control. They were like pushed into a corner by White Stairs. I mean, anyone could look at that round and see, oh yeah, DZ's got this, right? But no.
Well, I mean, it would take somebody overseeing the plant and or making sure that the case goes down in general, but I guess we don't do that anymore, John. I don't really know what
that specific scenario. We don't
dude, it sucks so much because like I expect so much out of these guys, but we just keep seeing these mistakes that just simply shouldn't be happening. But either way, I don't want to get too deep into it because DarkZero just simply deserve better in the moment. Mute Jammer not going to be able to hinder Hyper all that much, and luckily enough, Pambazoo's going to be on the cover here. He knows how aggressive people have been getting out towards the windows on a bunch of different maps, and including in this one with Shaiko hopping out of the east side, now this time the west side for Alems, but the west side happens to shoot back as DarkZero able to claim his life as soon as he vacates the window.
0 for 2 here for Alems in the previous 2 rounds. A really aggressive yokai charge going out there to stop the play from Red, so Canadian's going to have to hold for a few seconds, but he does trade the yokai, so definitely one that Canadian will take advantage upon. Their second one is now going to be moved in position closer to pillars from the looks of it here. But at the same time, DarkZero taking a step back since it's very early on in the round, just going to be setting up some additional utilities such as the air jabs there to prevent any aggressive flanks from BDS up those stairs.
Still plenty of time to do for DZ as obviously they got that initial pick. They can take their time as they usually do in order to clear out the rest of this. Most of the efforts over towards the cigar space as of right now. The real Hyper inside of cigar as he'll be trying to push forward and see exactly what is going on inside of the area for Long Bar. Waiting for his Gemini to come back up, he'll hop on his drone instead and start to clear the area.
It's gone all quiet on the map right now here. BDS still trying to leverage some aggressive positioning, specifically over on towards the other side of the upstairs position and lower on White, when they might be trying to wrap across that floor and put some pressure on DZ, but you guys already saw before there's an air jab blocking that, and really no other access point these guys can use here, so BDS, for the most part, just going to be trying to waste time. The Gemini, meanwhile, just walks right across, gets all this free intel on Shaiko's positioning. He's going to try to directly challenge against that, gets a little bit of damage off, I believe, on the Hyper himself, but nothing serious to write home about. He still has a large majority of his HP. This time, though, things get a little bit rough, and Canadian now pushing in from below as well, dumping the flashes in to burn out any utility resistance and hopefully blind out the player hiding in Cocktail.
Swing in here from NJR that should be heard by BDS, but no, it's going to be NJR with the double and Hyper on top of that as well. Gonna have a Nitro Cell come out here, and Bio's still alive here over towards White Stairs, pre-firing over towards Pambazoo in the corner, but it'll be Pambazoo instead. Everyone assuming that BDS got wiped there, but Bio's still alive, but not for very long. That's going to be another round for DarkZero, and that round a lot better in coordination than the previous one.
Yeah, came back with a vengeance after the very sloppy play from round number 5 there, and finally able to mount a second round inside of that attacking half before it closes out, right as it closes out, in fact. Now we're going to see the team switch sides. DarkZero takes on the defensive mantle, and BDS will be on the attack with a 2-round lead. 3 out of 6 of the remaining regulation rounds are what is required for them to take this series. DarkZero going to need to try and go for 4.
And this is where the rubber hits the road for DZ. We need to see some big plays coming out of them as they need to shore up this score scoreline. Blunders aside, this team still has a lot of opportunity to be able to take this series away from BDS. Bios currently sitting at 3-6. Not the best map from him so far inside of this series, but the same can be said across the board for a few of these members. Shaiko being damned literally every single round thus far with 6 deaths inside of 6 rounds. So they're still doing some things right. They just need to be able to have everything else aligned with that, and hopefully things will start to click. But again, the switch up of sides should assist them in that capacity.
DarkZero favoring the reading room start as well, making this kind of the go-to site as of this point here so far in the tournament, with plenty of other teams favoring this as the initial site pick as well here. You have the plenty of safe room to play through with both the site setup that you have for yourself as well as the extension going up to the 3rd floor here, giving the defenders plenty of comfortable room to waste time from, as well as hopefully line up angles to get kills. You can see the long-range positions they'll have, of course, from their extension on the 3rd floor, as well as some close quarters fighting to be done for the player inside of Piano Room here. Here comes BDS as they're out on the board here. They're going to send quite a few of their players up the rappel quite quickly to start putting pressure on that 3rd floor extension.
BDS to the roof here. Shaiko get the Gemini out, and well, yeah, he probably not going to use that one just yet before the hatch is open. Don't want to dedicate some utility and just run around on the roof and stare at your teammates. So get that sledge up there. We got an order of business here, guys. We got to follow the checklist, all right? Don't get ahead of yourselves. That's how we end up having mistakes happen. So Calypso here, manning the drones as of right now, rather cameras for the defense. Apologies, folks. It's been a little bit of a long day here for us, but either way, these cams will be assisting them on the mid-level, as well as some cheeky areas around upstairs. We could see some nitro cells come out from the DZ members.
Some DZ already mounted and ready to go here. They were just simply waiting for BDS to make the first move here once again, as they too sit quite timidly as they'll be sticking on their drones. This time it is the drones on the attack, as they need to clear out quite a bit. The first EE1D charge comes out, but virtually no pressure against any member of DarkZero to force moves from those EE1Ds, so not really going to get any intel at all as far as I can tell here. Potential hop out being postulated by the member over by the window too, but once again, no pressure from BDS in that department. It's a very one-sided push right now, moving from the west to east clear. And actually, for quite a few players, DarkZero is just kind of going to let it happen. We've already seen quite a few shift away from that. They got a few extra pieces of utility they throw out, such as the Toxic Babe here to slow down the push. And unfortunately, with no soft destruction access from the freezer out towards the top of white, they're just going to have to respect that Toxic Babe and simply wait it out.
Shaiko now, a minute remaining here. Lems has also been down, so they'll more than likely be looking to pick him up soon. Bios is going to use that EE1D, but I don't know if that'll be abusable for them to actually assist anything. Bios will be pre-firing some angles to make sure that he can come down and get a Lems, and he'll be able to do exactly that. In the current moment, BDS, a little damage, a little worse for wear, but still achievable inside of this round. Renshiro trying to break up the top panels just to see if he can possibly find any DZ members straggling around the site that he could possibly pick up. NJR finally a straggler of his own, as he'll pick up Shaiko at the top of white. Bios will fight back, but so will Pambazoo. He'll claim one. Alem's still in this space somewhere, but Alems will go down to Eclipse and Pillar.
Renshiro finally able to trade out the onslaught coming in from Eclipse here, putting it down to a 2v3. Certainly a palatable win, but not so much anymore here with Panba picking up another kill against Bride. Renshiro will trade out his advance, going further down through the red stairs, but he has no time left, and unfortunately not even any case control. Would have had to frag this out for the victory, and there was just not enough time or positioning to allow him to do that. DZ come out with the first successful win here on the second half.
See, now this Café is looking a lot more like the traditional Café from what we saw past yesterday. Yesterday was definitely kind of a fluke, I would say. It was just very awkward. Obviously an odd fender-sided Café that we really weren't expecting, but today has definitely righted that ship. As well, DarkZero able to claim their first defensive round, dealing some pretty serious damage early on, especially with that down from Alem's. Bios had to try and make up for that, making his shift over towards mining to pick him up, but DarkZero were prepared for that. Really love what they did around the stairwells on that round especially, and JR challenging up white with the M590. He takes down Shaiko, and then also the flank up red as well to deal the damning blow to quite a few members of DZ.
And so we now move into our 8th round of this overall map here. DarkZero only one round behind the scoreline of BDS. It's looking like we might go the full distance yet again, unless BDS can find their footing here, start to rush themselves forward into that pole position. try and close down this map here. DarkZero is moving right through the motions here in terms of site picks, following once again the same exact rotation that BDS also went for, going from a second floor hold up to a third floor hold, and more than likely following this one up with the first floor play if they do have the opportunity to go to their tertiary site. We don't have to see any replays as a result of BDS potentially taking this upcoming round here. Expected utility coming in terms of the defensive operator lineup as well. We get both the smoke as well as the mute to mitigate drone intel coming in there. The Aruni combining with the Jaeger to try and fend off as many nades as possible, because as we've already seen over the course of this series, nades are very popular right now, so I want to try and negate as many of those as possible. And then the Goyo to slow things down in addition to the smoke.
Absolutely the case. Lots of shields to play around here for DarkZero. Alem's already starting to get a read on the situation here for Bathroom, but this is one of the non-explosive shields. This will be Canadian shield dedicated inside of this space instead, even though it will be manned by Pambazoo. But more than likely, some utility in tow to assist with that as well. BDS, though, with the IQ in play on Alem's, will know where all of this utility is aligned, so he more than likely be able to assist his teammates in clearing out necessarily what they need to get a plant down in the current moment. Only a minute off the board here as Shaiko's already transitioned into building. First EE1D out here from BIOS as they're looking to get rid of a few of these laser gates.
Knock, knock.
See once again. A very, very slow build-up as neither team wants to be the first to lose a player. Talked about it during our first map in the post-game as well, how pivotal the opening kill tended to be. I think its relevance kind of faded off in map number 2, but it seems to be coming back to a decent degree here inside of our final map here, just because of how slow these teams are trying to play out these clears. If you get that first kill, you don't really seem to have any confidence or just general opening to quickly swing onto the site. It's going to leave you in a very, very bad position to trade out in the dying seconds of the round. For DarkZero, though, they will excel in taking that advantage, not only with the jump out kill to start things out, but a second one being found by Pan, but on the actual third floor hold as well. The nade, banking just a little bit too far. Won't be able to roll into Freezer, and I don't even think there was anyone from DarkZero holding presence in there anyway, so no one to take out here. BDS just missing on all cylinders here, not able to get their ground running at any capacity here. And Eclipse will now roll back in through the Hell Door, peek out once again from Pillars, and take out a third member of BDS.
If I could suck the jet lag out of us, I would, I promise. But either way, 50 seconds remaining here for BDS is I really don't think they're going to get too far with this. It's a very unfortunate round thus far for them, as DarkZero have had the answer to every avenue that they want to use to try and get into the site. Brede currently playing on red, seeing if anybody will possibly rotate into him, but this is just a makeshift timeout. We see this happen pretty often inside of Rainbow Six. There really isn't anything that they're going to be able to do that's going to be groundbreaking inside of this position. They'll get some drones in place and obviously still make an attempt, but unless something goes terribly wrong for DZ, this is their round through and through.
Brede just hunting for a body at this point to try and take someone out here, trying to mask the, trying to mask the drop for his teammate as well, but it just does not work out there. Oftentimes far too late to make any serious change-ups to the scope of the round. So we'll see what this pause will potentially boost for them, what type of new strategy they might be able to deploy towards here, as it is going to be against a kitchen hole. And it looks like DarkZero taking the same page out of BDS's book there and bringing the Tachanka into play to fend off some of this aggression and delay.
Well, a clean slate for both of these squads now as all things are tied up, and DarkZero with their own form of Tachanka coming in.
Let's see this hesitation from Eclipse every once in a while as he's lining this up. We did not get that from BDS's pickup here on this.
Yeah, Renshiro
you know I mean?
just was gunning down.
It's like he's just got like a macro to like template those things real quick. Just aim at the wall. He's got like a pixel spot he knows, and then he just clicks the button. It just does it for him.
It's like the auto painters.
Yeah.
Just sprays down the entire wall in a perfect form. But not so much for Eclipse here, as they're actually going to do this in a different capacity. It looks like he might actually end up taking out this entire wall. We'll have to see exactly what they want to do with this, as he's going to continue breaking this up. Is he breaking out the whole thing?
It's looking like it. He's going to leave like a prone spot, it looks like. But
okay, all right. Well, it looks like what he did there is he made that bottom angle there for bunker, so that way if they stand up, they can see the right-hand side of the kitchen. So that just makes a lot of sense. Did they end up leaving that single panel soft? Oh my God, no, that entire wall's gone.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, like I said,
all right.
They don't take out the bottom part. I think so. You at least have to hop over it, so it's not like just free reign to run right through the entire site. But Yeah,
that would be more fun.
That's a big window, basically, between the two sites.
A very large window now installed inside of Kitchen, thanks to Eclipse. So, great handyman there. If you guys
They really wanted an open
floor
floor plan in the kitchens.
Yeah, for sure. They wanted to knock it down, maybe make an island. And, well, they made an island out of NJR's head, as there's now a huge gap in it from the bullet that just made contact. NJR removed here, but luckily the ADSs will stick around to assist with these grenades.
Yeah, Lem's kind of fallen by the wayside in terms of entry. He's the player that BDS looked to be able to pick up that first kill more times than not here. Past few rounds, he's been finding himself become the first kill in a lot of situations here, so he's able to finally get revenge for that. Unfortunately, the revenge is coming in swiftly for DarkZero as well. They're able to take out the coach from BDS in BIOS as he goes down, but another exchange comes in from Lems. He's 2 for 2 so far on this round here, and the pressure coming in over here towards Prep Kitchen is going to be enough to force the Tachanka back into the site. Not for even able to live for too much longer here either, as Lems follows it up with a third one, now taking out Hyper.
Seems like Lems can do no wrong in this as DZ members continue to step up to the plate. Oh, a free kill seemingly for Renshiro, but Pambazu wins it out instead. Eclipse will get taken down. Pambazu, an absolute terror as well, currently 12 and 6, but he's going to need 3 more kills in order to do this. Brede able to shut him down, and BDS get back in the lead yet again here after an extremely successful round. All it took was them challenging Bakery, and every single DZ member showed face and died.
I mean, all it took was Lems getting a quad, for real about that one there. He just waltzes in. Like you said there, gets 4 separate 1v1s. They just show face time after time again, and they don't expect such a swift clear in terms of the utility dump as well as the hard breach being worked so quickly there. So unfortunately for DarkZero, they lose far too much real estate far too quickly and just do not know how to handle the pacing there from BDS. Excellent stuff from Lems to be so consistent in his capability to 1v1 the members of DarkZero as well. Saves the lead just when they were about to lose it there. Seems the pause helped out the team quite tremendously. To minimum cool off for a second and reset. Also coming with a new reinvigorated strat there to attack from the Bakery in a fairly straightforward manner.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, you have to be just happy as a clan for BDS across the board here, especially for BIOS' sake. Although, like, the scoreline isn't that great right now, this has been probably, stat line-wise, his worst map, and they're still doing fantastic. He's really just working that utility on the back end and making sure that BDS are progressing. They've been doing a pretty bang-up job of being able to get his refrags as well, so it's not all for naught, but obviously something that we have to talk about as commentators. Just because you're a coach doesn't mean that you get to get away with it, BIOS. Come on. But no, he's been playing fantastic, especially for somebody that had to step up in such a huge way. And we've been commending him throughout this entire series for exactly that, because he's not expected to do anything. If he does anything at all, it's more than what you would hope for at the end of the day.
So let us see now if he can continue to bring hope to this BDS roster as they've bolstered themselves back into a leading position. But so far, that's the only round they've controlled on the attacking side. It is the first time we did play into the first floor hold, obviously, for DarkZero also. So now returning to more successful territory. NJR finding that sneaky drone placed up on top of the bookshelf there as well. Not going to let that get away scot-free. So that one will be deleted. Only getting away with the limited intel they gained in the first 30 seconds of the round. Frag Grenade trying to position it to take out the castle barricade. Does not land where it needs to, unfortunately. So Frag Grenade, for the most part, going to go to a waste unless there was utility behind the door they were trying to take out. Their rolls is a little bit too far. As a result of that one, is not going to be close enough to the barricade to be able to take it out. And man, for BIOS, I was about to say, is he just going to sit there and whack the whole thing? Because he's going to be there a while.
11 times.
Yes.
11 punches on the castle barricade to get that thing to pop. So he would have been there for a little bit, but they still have some other destructive manners to be able to do so. They might just have Renshiro go over there, or like a Lems torch it or something, if they do want access to that. So either way, though, now I'm going to start seeing Brede use up those X-Kairos on the castle barricade to pop this open. Make it a little bit easier to apply some pressure to Pambazu inside of this position. He'll pre-fire with the Yump, but the pre-fire from Eclipse is the one that actually makes contact with Shaiko, so he'll take just a little bit of damage. So plenty of time in this for both of these squads. Nade in, does it hit its mark? It does, but not enough damage onto Pambazu.
Coming down to the clutch here now as we're going to see the opening kill again found by a Lens as he's really reignited himself. He's on the second floor in the reading room somehow. Probably a push from hell if I had to guess it, or maybe even sneaking in directly through the hallway, as there's a lot of players over here on second floor red landing that have been able to move themselves in through there. Either way, huge props to Lens once again pushing BDS in here. He was the X factor that seemingly was missing in earlier rounds, and he is back with a vengeance here, picking up a second round in a row opening kill for this team.
This is so very awkward for DZ now. Shaiko getting so much info as well. Renshiro will be taken down, but not before Bride can do something. Eclipse dropping in from behind as well. Has to be ready for the push here, but Alems is not. Shaiko will pick up Canadian. Eclipse with yet another one, as we'll get it down to the 2 versus 2. Bios in very low HP, so he's going to have to consider that going forward, but he does have the AK as well to work a lot of these different angles with so many bullets, so not going to have to worry about that mag too much. No drones in between these two, though, as Bios is trying to flutter through the other ones that his teammates set up around the map, but he's got dead homies to be able to do that instead. He needs to stick to his guns going into these last 20 seconds.
That's again the problem with the Alems' push forward is he does it entirely on his own, so no support system for him, even though he is in the depths of the site. No one tries to group up with him here. A nice cutoff from Hyper up on top as well there, as he's going to be able to find the first of 2 kills needed to shut this one down. Less than 10 seconds for the plant as well here. Bride just with no hope to get anyone into that fight. Eclipse outwits him entirely and shuts down this round for DarkZero as they control the chaos, mainly coming from Alems there, and fend off the attack.
Yeah, perfectly hidden behind the knocked over bookshelf inside of Reading, not able to see him, and they'll tie things up here on Cafe at 5-5. BDS just not able to get away with it after the initial picks came through. DarkZero able to not only slow BDS down, but make what a round that seemed to be extremely awkward for them actually successful at the end of the day. Alem's getting so deep into sight, but yet not being able to get away with too much past his initial frag.
Oh, this could be an interesting 6-pick. Not an operator we see very often at all nowadays, but I'll wait until it actually gets locked in. Oh, there it is. They're going to go for it. The Kali coming into play here. This should be interesting to see how they're going to try and use it here, whether it's pressure once again from the rappel, as this is going to be a 3rd floor hold, or bringing it more for the utility once again, as she brings, a very similar flare to what you would normally get out of someone like Thatcher.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Biggest thing about this character, though, for Kali is that she not only has the sniper rifle that can down someone in one blow, but also a secondary pistol that is very, very good. You can compare it to like the SMG-12, SMG-11. It's one of those guns that in close range can definitely deal some serious damage to you, so DZ will have to be aware of that. Later on, obviously, because they have no idea that this selection has went through just yet. Past that, everyone knows her for her Lancers. And what those do is, it's basically like a drill that drills in through reinforcements and everything else and makes the nice little explosion to get rid of utility. The big thing about that, though, is it blows up on both sides, so it can destroy the offensive utility if it's applied too soon.
Yep, so you have to be careful with it. It's not as easy to coordinate alongside hard breaches and wanted to say the Thatcher EMPs are, and we've seen those used quite well in the past. So that, along with some other reasons why we see her as a pretty rare or niche pick for specific situations, so I'm still interested to pay close attention to how it's going to be utilized here for BDS for that very same reason, and see why they feel that she is necessary for this upcoming round here. BDS do need to start picking up the wins, as once again they are just about to lose the lead here with DZ bouncing back there, and that's with the early pressure once again being in the favor of BDS as well. Lems, for instance, having himself a great opener to that one, and here we go. We can start to see it. This will allow them to get much quicker access to the inside of Cigar here. Already seeing the X-Kairos blow that one up. The wall that is leading in towards red. As a result of that, BDS might be able to clear out some of these extended positions, such as over by Pixel or inside of the white bathroom, much more quickly by having access to that wall.
Smooth and steady for both of these squads through the first minute. No serious damage dealt just yet. Alems will apply himself to the Christmas stage window now. Starts breaking this up. Has Virtus Pro skin on that as well. Make sure to go check that out inside of our esports shop if you so choose. Has a nice angle that can go all the way deep into Freezer. Look at the ways that he can actually work this thing with the sniper rifle. And remember, if he's able to land just one shot,
saw one.
That person's going down. Oh! Just by a pixel right there, almost losing the head of the SAS operator inside of Freezer.
And they obviously know that it is there at this point, so we're probably going to be a little bit more cautious about peeking that angle, and that's why the decision is made here by our attacker as well, to kind of go off of that one and just look for a potential pick opportunity elsewhere. So we are starting to get a little bit low on time, a little over half the round gone, but it's Renshiro to strike first this time. Not the only one as well, as he's moving all the way through open bar here. He's got the sidearm out, his teammates helping him out finally. Shaiko getting into it with the ARX as he takes out Pan, but that clears out Cocktail, allows for Renshiro to hold this. He's not even had a chance to reload his primary as of yet, but it doesn't matter. matter. Eclipse doesn't seem to be aware of the fact that they've lost Cocktail, and even though there's a good flank from NJR here, it doesn't matter. Cannot leverage the spray into a kill as he's taken out beforehand. BDS comes storming in and get themselves another round to just barely hold on to the lead here as we head into the final round of regulation.
And once again, BIOS doing what is necessary for his team's success, holding the counter angle, making sure that these the members of DarkZero are not allowed back into the site once he establishes this angle for bathroom. So very well done from him. BDS up and on to match point. It's do or die now for DarkZero.
Absolutely the case here. DarkZero still looking to hold on to some points here, and BDS fighting for any glory that they can gain in this tournament under the circumstances. You saw the frustration yesterday when the news came out they couldn't play with their full 5. They felt that this was going to be their tournament, that maybe they were finally going to be able to redeem themselves after they had come so close so many times at so many SIs in the past, but still now trying to fight their way even past just DarkZero here. Just even this win will be a huge boon for them to try and still make it out of the group and get as far through the playoffs as humanly possible.
I mean, I have just been so very impressed with BDS's resiliency throughout this entire series. We've had some definitely awkward moments for both teams, some more than others, but I mean, just for the sake of conversation, BDS have looked really, really good with BIOS in play. I mean, he's even got comparable score lines to people like Shaiko, who's one of the best fraggers in the entire world. I'm very impressed with what he's been able to do today. Obviously, again, we still got to talk about him in a certain capacity, but I mean, it is what it is. I'm very, very happy for him, and I mean, the rest of the team definitely has to support him in a huge way with what he's been able to accomplish.
So one final round dictates who will take control of this one. Could very well take this to overtime as well. We've been kind of teeter-tottering on the rounds for a couple now, so wouldn't be completely out of character to see DarkZero claim this one for themselves, especially as they will work their way back into a very familiar site where things have worked out for them. Back down on the second floor here. I think this one is actually going to be the train hold instead of the reading room, as that one is still locked away, unfortunately. Can play somewhat similarly with the third floor extension and whatnot, but the actual hold on the second floor quite obviously will be very, very different due to the completely changed site. It's that L pattern you need to hold and focus most of your defensive assets over towards the train side, as well as making sure you keep as much presence on white stairs for as long as possible so your extension can stay alive.
Yes, indeed, as BDS will begin working the windows early here on the Cocktail side. It'll be a Lems. Renshire with a frag grenade out. It won't deal any damage to Eclipse as he backs off inside of the freezer. Pambas will be manning the bathroom as of right now. A stack of defensive ops over towards the white hallway here for DZ. Shaiko's already sprung 2 inside of Cigar. Another nade being cooked for him over inside of that space, and a hop out for Pambazoo, but he gets actually not bodied. Now BIOS will be able to get the refrag. I thought that we saw it from a Lems there, but no. The last bullet out of that gun able to tag him up, but the equalizer here from the coach.
At least guarantees himself the 1-for-1 exchange and keeps the numbers even. We did have a second player lined up from DarkZero, maybe thinking about going for a jump out over towards white as well, but decided against it here considering the risks now involved. BIOS, however, still taking some hefty damage there, more likely coming from previous fight, as he's now down at just under 50 HP here, and BDS going to be a little bit worse for wear on the assault as a direct result of that play. Do have some control working itself in onto the third floor here. Some progress being made by BDS, and overall the presence on the third floor has now been abandoned by DarkZero due to the loss of Pambas, along with some other factors. BDS taking control over towards Cigar's side. No transition down to the second just as of yet, though, and that's now the big focus for them as they start to open up opportunities for themselves in the top-down angles here. Shaiko starts it off well by taking control of the player advantage, but it bounces right back with Canadians' well-placed Nitro.
Very well done thus far from DarkZero to keep themselves in it. They desperately need this round. This is it. If BDS takes it, it'll be completely done inside of regulation here on Café. Yeah, don't tell Caliber Jacob that I took his line. 30 seconds remain here for BDS to get something done. NJR pitching these smoke grenades as quickly as possible over towards the bottom of white stairs. Brede seemingly knowing where he is because of that. And yes, the find indeed. Low HP BDS members, but they're still alive. BIOS will get taken down from the player inside of Train, or rather mining, as Canadian will take out one. Brede looking for the overextension, but it's up to Hyper here as he's getting chased down. He'll find him, and with minimal time remaining, can he find the last remaining member?
So
oh my god! Brede literally milliseconds away from winning the map.
Brede's so close to getting that one. Had the pre-fire, it seemed like, and everything too, just ran out of time. If there was like a quarter of a second more on that clock, we could have very well seen it go the other way. At the same time, as I didn't see it from DZ's point of view, so we don't know what his shots were looking like, but still very, very tense there. And that does line up another overtime here, the second of the series. We're not going to decide a winner that easily. Second time in a row we've had our last game of the day go to this length as well. So both times we're now going to see...
would have bodied him right there. There's literally no chance in hell that Canadian wins that with extra time. Oh, man. Well, how close this series has gotten, going down to the wire here as DarkZero is able to stave off this final round from BDS. Alems, he's going to throw the curveball once again. We're back onto the Kali, because apparently that was the adjustment that won them the round. I wouldn't necessarily say so, but I mean, if Alems ends up getting a pick with this round, this could be all that they need to find success here. Remember, they've been on this offensive side for a seriously long time, and their defenses were quite stellar when they were there.
Utility-wise, I don't necessarily think that it was the make or break element there. It's, yes, sped things up slightly, as we saw, like I said before, the Red Hatch opening, and I think they helped out a little bit too as he worked himself over to maybe assist with taking on some utility over here towards Cocktail, but I don't even think we saw that, so I don't necessarily know if that translated that well. It would have been off screen if that was the case here, but either way, they feel it's useful enough to bring in a second time here, so let's follow through with it and see if they're going to find as much success on their assault this time.
Well, it's going to be mad awkward for him this time because they've reinforced not only all of Freezer, but all of Bathroom, so he's not going to be gifted the same angle that he was before. They're going to have to break up all of this here, which, I mean, yeah, they do indeed have a Lems in order to assist with this, so it should definitely be doable, but it's going to be all about a Lems and Bride in tandem to be able to achieve a lot of this. Bio's more than likely going to be setting things up to make sure that nobody can possibly hop out and get these frags, but like we had seen previously, it's definitely still doable if you're able to get your shots to land before you touch the ground.
So things will start out this time well, and we won't even see that Cali get really onto the map here as Panba just rips out the head of Alems there, taking him out of the play entirely here. 11-10 scoreline has been doing great work up until this point, but unfortunately a little bit hit or miss when it comes to the entry game here, and a little bit over-reliant on him to be able to accomplish that. So DarkZero start this out well for themselves instead here, and take out one of the most impactful players in this game for BDS.
Well, luckily enough, there's still quite a few French members in order to try and steal this round away from DarkZero now. Shaiko with a nade into Pambazoo, and it's going to get eaten up by the ADS, luckily enough. Very forward position for him, almost got him punished, but that singular ADS able to save his life, and the ADS's life saved as well as that second frag grenade pours in. This is starting to look more and more like a DZ round as we continue on. That's going to be the Gemini here, and Pambazoo will be able to clean that up, waiting for the next push-up into Pixel. Somebody challenges that door into the M590. They're going to lose their lives, so hopefully we don't see that. We are about halfway through the round now. Biggest problem right now, they don't have any answer to what's going on with these freezer and bathroom walls because they're electrified and the man with the lancers are dead.
Absolutely the case, and no other mitigation being brought in to assist with that one. Brady's going to try and sneak in some X-Kyros, see if they can open up something over towards Cocktail. Players in Freezer should technically be able to mitigate that if they, if they're able to lean out into that, and that's exactly what we're going to get with Shaiko here, mitigating, I think, most, if not all, of those pellets that had gone down. Pamba still patiently waiting for his first challenge over here at the Pixel door. Finally going to take it upon himself to take the challenge instead, and nearly knocks out Bios as a result of it. A 1-for-1 exchange will go down elsewhere on the map between Hyper, as well as with Hyper taking out Shaiko. Another player on BDS managing to take out Canadian. It's Eclipse from down below that snipes out Bride in the meanwhile, bringing BDS down to just 2 here versus the 4 still standing for DarkZero, as Renshiro and a very low HP Bios try to come up with some way to clutch this out with only 30 seconds remaining.
Some way, somehow, inside of a 2 versus 4, it has to be done, but I don't know how far along the path they'll be able to get. Eclipse already manning the skylight as well, ready for Renshiro to hop down, and that's more than likely going to be him. Oh, he gets right in behind him, but apparently doesn't hear the bullets flying. It's going to be a quick cleanup here for DZ as they take the lead on Cafe, switching over to the offensive side.
Very, very one-sided affair there on that round, as it seems BDS put a lot of presence on that capability to bring those Lancers into play. They would take out some of the utility on the other side, allowing for them to open up some of these hatches and reinforcements, but it does not play out that way at all, as immediately NJR is able to take out all of that utility right from the very beginning of the round before it even gets to the top of Rappel. And as a result of that, BDS were always fighting from the back foot for pretty much the entire round there. DarkZero now on map and match point here with finally the capability to shut this down. Will they do it in 1 though, or will we have a response coming in from BDS as they too have the opportunity to tie it up one final time, and also from the defense, as you were mentioning before, feeling quite prominent on this, specifically in this hold as well, as they're going to go back down to the first floor play with Tachanka being 6 picked in.
Really like the 6 pick away from the Pulse as well. We've talked about it quite a few times, but that just makes it to where you have to search the map to see exactly what's going on inside of this space. But it should be pretty obvious once they start to look at the site as to what's going on, and more than likely that the Tachanka's in play yet again. As soon as a drone enters the door, they're like, oh, well, that wasn't in the lineup, was it? So don't really have to worry too much about the Pulse at the end of the day, just simply because of how unbelievably loud Renshiro has to be to set up all of this for his squad mates. So Renshiro and the rest of BDS looking to make their final stand inside of Kitchen to see if they can possibly guarantee themselves another offensive round and keep themselves in it up against DarkZero.
Let's see here if they're going to be able to work themselves towards that. BDS just finishing up some housekeeping here as they open up as much of the kitchen as they're going to feel comfortable to do. Certainly not as much as DarkZero. BDS's will have a bit more of a complex pattern on the wall there as they try to set things up, and obviously we've already seen this work out quite well for them, where it was a bit more of a mixed bag for DZ. Usually very quick advances from BDS working their way into the bakery here. But a different approach this time for DarkZero as they'll be on the assault here and moving themselves in through the White Stairs garage to open up this round. Lems does have a counter angle for that, but doesn't have the specific angle needed to kill either of these players right now, so just going to pop the barricade open. We're going to hear that go off on the other side too, so a few players from DarkZero will draw the ire towards that, but it is now open if Olympus wants to come back to it a few moments later here to try and get aggressive.
Bambazu with yet another incredible game from him, 16 and 10 in the moment. Hyper, it's just not his day today, man. 6 and 11 at the current moment, but that doesn't mean that DarkZero can't win this series. As we've been talking about, currently up 7-6 right now on BDS. Hyper going to be dedicating the Gemini in towards lobby, seeing exactly what's going on inside of the space. Whiskey currently being occupied by a BDS member, but nobody really else home. Bios will be on red as of right now, with a few other of Team BDS over towards Bakery, currently trying to hold on to this door. Canadian's going to get lit up from that position, but he chooses to keep his life instead just because of how many Rotero drones he has. Does not want to waste these, as unluckily enough for Brede, he will not be able to catch that one.
See a few more of those incendiaries work its way out. That one bounced just a little bit too far, so Canadian's still not going to have much of an issue challenging on the other side of the double door there. No success being found for him either way here. Just a whole bunch of time being wasted away. Neither team able to mount an opening kill just as of yet here, so both will have to feel very cautious about the next few seconds as they try to work themselves into that. Now, interestingly enough, you guys probably just saw it there. Alems still in Cigar, and we've got NGR clearing down top red right now. As soon as Alems gets the call that that is happening, he can get into a very powerful position to start punishing DZ if they weren't aware of this play. Bios is going to be able to catch Hyper, but at the same time, Hyper did manage to catch Brede. Now NJR finding Bios. It's a chain of woe here. No one can seem to get ahead of the other, but it does play into DZ's favor because that first kill to flank still yet to come in from the top of red stairs, and Renshiro has now been pinned in Bakery. Also, they need some assistance, and no, Alems will be found out here as he finally tries to make a play. Shaiko did come out on top of Eclipse, though, to bring the numbers down, and a cook nade does come out against Alems, and he'll actually just roll outside. No, it's not a cook, just a loose toss nade that comes in there, where NJR is eventually able to win the fight anyway versus Alems there. One more player goes down, and now all the hopes of BDS rest on Shaiko here to pull off a 1v3 clutch. Only 19 seconds left. He can bleed out the time bank here and just try to win it on the timer, and we'll see if he'll be able to pull that off. But quickly, DarkZero are working their way into the depths of the primary kitchen here, looking to find their opportunity for a plant. No one has attempted it just as of yet, but finally Canadian is putting it down onto the ground. Shaiko now needs to try and stop that. The impact's going back in. The damage will not connect, and Panbazoo will instead connect a headshot to close out on this map and close out on the series as DarkZero take it 2-1.
2-1 series for DarkZero after some insanely critical blunders from them across the entirety of this series. They're finally able to pick up the pieces, tape them back together, and